Alright, now we're going to weigh out these two scenarios. They're two separate, altogether scenarios. But first off, I have to name these bones so when I talk about these things, I'm not driving you insane. So in pose mode, you can go to the bone and name this one bone underscore 1. This one is going to be called bone underscore 2. Again, let's go to this one, bone underscore 1, bone underscore 2. And it's going to seem like a Dr. Seuss novel, it seems, at times here, because I'm going to call it bone 1 and bone 2, so it's going to be like thing 1 and thing 2. And I'm going to say it a lot, and it's going to drive you insane, but that's okay. Now we have them named. We have to name our bones. That's very important when it gets to this stage. Before you weigh out the character, you have to have good bone naming. Alright, so in this case I have a giant mesh. If I go into edit mode and hit L, I can select different parts of this mesh. Okay, L. A is to deselect. Just get used to that for a minute. Let's go into object data, and here now I have bone 1 and bone 2. Bone 1 is at the bottom, bone 2 is at top. Okay, let's go down below. We have this select option. Let's select this. Notice when I select it, bone 1 has some influence over the sphere, over this object, and a little bit up here also. So this is automatic weighting. This is what happens. Let's go and deselect that, and let's go to bone 2 and select it. In this case, I have some at the top, some at the bottom. So we could say that both bones have influence over the center portion of the mesh. Alright, so let's separate this out. We're now going to put a law in effect where this object and this object are going to be kind of pseudo combined together via weights. Alright, so it works like this. The first thing you need to do is make sure you assign bone 1 all these vertices. Okay. Then you go to the next object, L, and assign bone 1. Then you go to bone 2 and remove it. You don't want anything on bone 2 to be on this object. So let's go and recap this just real quick because I don't want to lose you. Let's deselect it. Let's go to bone 1 and hit select. In this case, bam, bam. These two objects are there. Look up above. I have this being highlighted. Let's hit L and remove that. Now bone 1 has no influence over the top mesh. Let's go select. In this case, that's correct. Let's go deselect. Let's go to bone 2 and see if only the top part of it is there. Let's hit select. No. In fact, it has some kind of weird face down here. Let's go L. And in bone 2, I want to remove that influence. So you have to use common sense when dealing with bones. And it isn't really common. It's a way of thinking that you have to look at. Okay, well, bone 1, it should have perfect influence over two objects, and when I go to deselect it and go to bone 2 should have its respective influence over whatever object it has. Alright, so in pose mode, I should have this. It pivots on the ball. If I go to the bottom mesh, it activates the entire character. Alright, So now that we have that working out, let's go into the next video where I show you the weight painting mode and how that works.